The reports.
All right, first up, and this is actually our favorite time of each month, each meeting. We have very few winners as students of the month, so to receive that award is amazing. If you think about it, each month we might have 3 to 4 winners, and by the end of the year, perhaps 30 at the most. But if you think about it, we have 30 out of almost 3,900 students. So it's really hard to actually become Student of the Month. Tonight, after we do all the presentations, we do take a photo for the press, and you will receive, come September, or an invitation to attend one of our first home football games. So you'll get that actually in the mail one day. So, but first up is the students representing Sunrise, Mrs. Corner, Dr. Corner.
Thanks, Dr. Harris. I'll do the Sunrise updates first. So I would like to state that this week is actually Staff Appreciation Week, and I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for all the hard work and dedication of not just the Sunrise staff, but all PT staff that work tirelessly for our students and our families. Sunrise happens to be hosting our second building-wide career fair this Friday, the 11th. We have around 45 volunteer presenters coming in to speak to our students for 15-minute rotations. Sunrise is also has continued to host a running club that's led by Mr. Spoody, who happens to be here tonight, and we had 78 students sign up this year for the running club. They will be participating in the Plum Race this Saturday on May 12th. The district-wide elementary band concert is May 22nd at 7 p.m. in the High School Performing Arts Center. That is for all of our 4th and 5th graders across the district that play a musical instrument. Kindergarten readiness testing for the district is actually next week on Monday and Tuesday, May 14th and 15th. That's for all the district-wide incoming kindergartners. And we also just had the district-wide 5th grade Career Discovery Day last week in Greensburg. The trip is organized by the Westmoreland County Federal Credit Union, and we just want to acknowledge their support. They give a lot of time, energy, and money to the district to help our kids, and we thank them for that. It's a really busy time of year. I probably could have mentioned about 20 more things that are happening, so we'll stop there. So then I would like to introduce the Student of the Month for Sunrise for May, and that is Aiden Coiner. Sunrise Elementary would like to congratulate the Elementary Student of the Month for May, Aiden Coiner. Aiden is the 12-year-old 5th grade son of Brian Coiner and myself. Aiden has an older sister, Mara, who is in 8th grade at Trafford Middle. When I spoke to Aiden, like every day, he told me that his favorite subjects in school are reading and math. Aiden doesn't know what he wants to do when he gets older, but he has an interest in working in the field of business. Aiden loves to spend time playing outside with his friends. He also enjoys playing Minecraft on his device and watching YouTube videos. Aiden is heavily involved in karate and has competed several times in both kata and kumite. Brian and I would like to say that Aiden is a sweet and loving son. Aiden is internally motivated to do well in school and cares about his friends. He loves to laugh, spend time with family, help out around the house, and he gives the absolute best hugs. Mrs. Hawk, who is here tonight, Aiden's homeroom teacher, stated that Aiden is an all-around exceptional student who aims to reach his full potential on a daily basis. Aiden is an extremely responsible student who interacts well with all his peers and seeks opportunities to extend his learning. Aiden is an avid reader with a vivid imagination and excels in the math classroom. He has an impressive understanding and depth of knowledge on a variety of topics. He takes great pride in his work in all subject areas. Aiden has the ability to quickly and therefore loves a challenge. His persistence, organization, hard work, dependability, and kind heart don't go unnoticed. I am very proud of Aiden for earning the award for Student of the Month. This is just the beginning of many successes for Aiden. Mrs. Wise, who is Aiden's science teacher, she's also here tonight. It is a pleasure to see his enthusiasm for learning every day. He is cooperative and responsible. He always puts his best foot forward. Aiden has a great personality that allows him to work well independently as well as in a group. He is a joy to have in class. I am so honored to be Aiden's mom and been able to have him at Sunrise with me. I will miss him dearly as he goes off to middle school next year. It's my absolute pleasure to recognize Aiden Coiner as the Sunrise Elementary Student of the Month.
Congratulations, Mom and Dad. This is keeping the pressure on you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Coiner. Next up, we have Mr. Simpson from Penn Middle School.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. I'll follow Dr. Coiner's suit. Talked a couple of Penn Middle School testing went very well. We had English, math, and science. We have Keystones coming up next week. Kids worked very hard along with the teachers all year to prepare. We went to Gettysburg. The 8th grade went to Gettysburg last Thursday. I went myself. It was an unbelievable trip. I want to thank the board. That is not an inexpensive trip. It's very expensive for those coach buses, but the kids have an unbelievable time. And if you're going to go somewhere in Pennsylvania and talk about history, you should go to Independence Hall or Gettysburg, and Gettysburg's closer. 7th grade also went to the Tech Center. I got a letter from one of the teachers there that said our 7th grade was one of the best groups to ever go through there in terms of behavior and interests and questions. So hopefully we planted the seed of interest in the Tech Center because there's so many wonderful programs offered out there. Last week was our band concert. We have a chorus concert tonight, 6th grade chorus concert tonight, and Wednesday is the 7th, 8th grade chorus concert. Also, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. I'm trying to do a number of nice things just to focus on my teachers and let them know how much we appreciate them. I just want to say I'm honored to work with such a committed, dedicated, and hardworking bunch. We have the Drama Club is doing Little Mermaid next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Bushy Run 5K is on the 22nd. If you want to come and run with us, Mr. Spooty, please come on out. The yearbook dance on the 24th, and that's the next day we call it a day. So that's the end. We have a lot of other things going on. I try to funnel things down because May is a big month, as everyone knows. Okay, more importantly, where's Michaela at? Michaela, come on out. I want to introduce Michaela Casario. She's the daughter. She's the daughter of Dan and Becca Casario of Penborough. She's a sister Morgan who graduated from the high school here in 2014 and is just graduating from Seton Hill this semester. Her parents share that Michaela has always been an extremely caring person and was given a wonderful gift. She always amazes them with her kindness and willingness to help anyone that may need it. She loves spending time with her family, enjoys school, especially art and science. When I talked to her about this, she may someday want to become either a veterinarian or a vet assistant or something along those lines because she loves animals so much. She always has positive things to say about her peers and teachers, and you'll hear about her teachers in a minute. She's involved with the youth group at church as they do a number of service projects in the community, and she enjoys fishing, golfing, and gardening, especially fishing with Dad, I hear. At the age of 13, she already has a hole-in-one under her belt, which I'm very envious. What a golfer she is. And she has a trophy trout hanging on her wall. Her family is extremely proud of her. Cool. Her sister Morgan says that even though they are far apart in age, they do so much together and they go everywhere together. Morgan is just so proud of the person Michaela is. She would do anything for anybody, which will be a theme here. Her teachers say that she often cares more about others than she does herself. She will always stand up for what is right in terms of how peers treat one another. She deeply cares about others' feelings and will go out of her way to make sure a peer is okay. She's incredibly sweet, kind, and caring. So deserving of this honor, she exemplifies a well-rounded, outgoing, and artistic student. She went above and beyond in art class and art club and was a tremendous help to her peers. Was accepted in a juried art show in Greensburg this past winter. To have a student who's truly excited about school is awesome. Michaela's enthusiasm is contagious. Michaela is a hard worker every day in class. She always asks questions to clarify and further her understanding of any concept being presented. Michaela always has a smile on her face and is kind to her peers. She pushes through the adversity that comes her way. Michaela is one of the most hardworking and selfless young women I've met in middle school. She has helped support and encourage skilled students on countless occasions and is always willing to lend a hand to her classmates and even teachers. She is kind and courteous to others, and I would consider her to be the perfect representation of our middle school character and how we strive for what we strive for our students to attain. So I'm very proud to present Michaela Casero as the May Middle School Student of the Month.
Congratulations, parents.
And next up, finally, Mrs. Corbat from the high school. She actually has 2 winners.
I do. I'll start off talking about what's going on in the high school first and talk about my 2 winners. At the high school, we are as well preparing for our Keystone exams that we've been preparing for all year long in bio, literature, and in algebra. Last weekend was our prom on Friday that went without an incident, which is always awesome, that nothing bad happened. All good. We've been preparing for the senior class to graduate and all of their requirements and finalizing all of those. The kids are very excited about that. Our sports teams currently, softball, if they win tomorrow, they will win the section. Volleyball, if they win on Thursday, they will also win the section. Baseball will be, they placed second, and they actually won tonight as well. Our girls and boys lacrosse teams have been doing well. The girls team won some games this year. I think that's a plus for them. Boys tennis, I believe they came in second. Track will possibly have some state qualifiers at the end of this week. Also coming up during this week is the scholarship night, which is Thursday night, where we offer all of our scholarships to our seniors, and the Excellence in Education luncheon for our top 20 students on Friday. I have a ton of things to talk about in the month of May here, so I'll just leave it at that. But I want to introduce our 2 students of the month for May. They are Ashton Wagner and Kaylee Kadzierski. They are here for 2 reasons today. 1, to be the student of the month, and 2, to talk about actually the reason I nominated them for student of the month, which is their club and the acts of random kindness. If you noticed when you came into the building earlier in the last couple months, there are sticky notes all over everyone's lockers. That's because of them. I asked their teachers to talk about, and I always feel better whenever I send that email out and I get exactly back what I thought I'd get. And for both of them, that is the case. I'll first talk about Ashton. Ashton Wagner is the son of Rhonda and Christopher Wagner of Level Green. He has 2 sisters, Cassie and Kaylin, and an older brother, Alex, who's a Marine stationed in Japan. My first encounter with Ashton wasn't the normal first encounter of a principal and student, because he was upset because people were disrespectful to a teacher and he wanted me to know about it. That's normally not what I hear about first. And then I asked some other teachers, and this is what they had to say about Ashton. He's always willing to help whenever they need someone to do anything in class, and they'll miss having him in class. Ashton is a very motivated student. He's very careful and meticulous with all of his projects and ceramics. He has an excitement for his projects and is very curious about what he's doing. Ashton is a kind, courteous, and respectful to all that he encounters on a daily basis. He always has a smile on his face and takes on every task with a positive attitude. He is truly a pleasure to have in class. And I will now talk about Kaylee, and then at the end I have a statement about both of them from their teacher that assigned the act of random kindness. Kaylee Kadzierski is Ashton's partner in crime, I guess. She's the daughter of Connie Kadzierski of Irwin, PA. Her sister Abby is here, I believe, along with her aunt and uncle to support her. I met with Kaylee to tell her about being awarded Student of the Month, and I've never seen a child so happy in my life. She was so happy and honored she couldn't stop smiling. And I think her teachers summed her up pretty well. Kaylee is a very hard worker. This is my second year with her. She's great with helping out her classmates and asking questions. She has a very tender heart and cares very much for her school and her classmates. Kaylee has taken my class for the last few years. She is kind-hearted and always tries to do the best with her work. She's not someone who does good things to be recognized, but because she gets fulfillment out of being a good person. She always is thinking of others. In my class, she is always positive and a good role model for my students and always willing to help. I have truly enjoyed having her in my class. Kaylee is conscientious and takes pride in her work. She takes initiative to solve complex problems and is willing to help others. I believe she'll be an excellent nurse in the future because of these qualities. And then I will read what Mrs. Killen said about both of them. After the Florida shootings, my students in family dynamics classes were understandably upset and feeling helpless. So we talked about ways to deal with these feelings and what they could do about them. I suggested that they be proactive and try to find a way to empower themselves. I gave them time to research and look for ways to do this. The Act of Random Kindness Club is a way that Ashton and Kaylee came up with. They stood up to lead the club. So the rest of the things in my list, they are going to talk about later, so I don't want to steal their thunder. So I think I told you about the sticky notes on the lockers, and there are a whole lot of other things that they have planned to spread kindness in the next month. They both are behaving as great leaders, and they are already cultivating the people who will take over for next year once they graduate. So this club will continue on after they've graduated. So these are my two Students of the Month, Kaylee Kudzerski and Ashton Wagner.
Are they going to talk about the club, Ms. Kelly, now, you said?
They were going to come and present right now.
Right now. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You guys can go right to the mic.
Is it on?
Kenny can hear you.
No, turn it on, Karen.
All right. So me and Kaylee are both the founders of the art club. Basically, the purpose of this club was to basically shape both the school, the community as a whole, because we have realized that sometimes in high school, things can get a little out of hand with behavior, stress. One of the reasons that jar was made was the stress. So that jar is so kids can put their stresses in this jar. At the end of the day, we tear them all up, basically throwing the stress away as a whole. It's been put to really good use. Every day I always have to throw some away. It's never just empty. I've looked at them, they're all anonymous. Some of the examples I got were pretty crazy when you think about possible high school scenarios. Example, senior project I know is a huge one. I've seen plenty of those in there. Between boyfriends, girlfriends, I've seen a lot of tough things related to those things.
Can my school board use it?
Absolutely, go for it. Yeah, it's always right next to Miss Killen's room. And then, as Mr. Horvatic said, we both did the post-it notes around the school. It took about 3 hours, roughly, to do all. I don't even know how many lockers there are in the school. But, yeah. So that took a good amount of time. But we got some really positive feedback from everyone, really, about it. Teachers loved it because we ended up doing their rooms, too, putting Post-it notes on theirs. Meetings usually are Mondays and Thursdays that we will meet inside a computer room, and everyone will meet in there at 7:10 in the morning whenever we first go into school. The amount of people in the club, there's probably 17. More people signed up, but people that are actually active in the club are around 17 people that are active in it. And
there's more and more people who, after finding out about it, they're like, I want to join. And I think they're realizing the true impact that kindness makes. And it's amazing. It's just incredible.
So our overall goal basically is to try and get this school to a better behavior, because with all the drugs, with all the active behavior of students and how they act towards teachers and other students, and bullying's a huge one. I see that nonstop every day. We decide to do different activities, do different things just to try and warm in people's hearts and get them to see the brighter side of being happy rather than watching them be rude to other people and causing more havoc and people using that jar more and more because of it.
We're hoping that these acts of kindness will spread, not only throughout the school, but the community as well. Because just brightening someone's day is just amazing.
Yeah, our club motto is delivering and filling people with kindness one heart at a time. As I said, that's going off of us giving them kindness and making sure that they understand that being good is better than making other people feel terrible about themselves, because that's not going to do anything to solve any of them, whether they have personal problems or whatever. I think bullying is not the way to take that in terms of getting better.
Kindness is free. And every act of kindness, whether it's big or whether it's small, can make a difference in anybody's lives.
So some of the activities we've currently done, we've done an Easter egg hunt. We planted around 36 eggs, and we filled them with Jolly Ranchers, and whether it be quotes, kind words, pictures that they would grab. And then we had 2 golden eggs, which had $1 in them, that we hid around the school, just to, one, make it fun, have the school like interactive with everything. And then
students absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I got positive feedback from that. And then we did the Post-it notes, as I said. That was the stress garbage jar. Then we have the banner of kind hands, and that is what we have right here.
We just did that, and we went around and we put handprints all over the banner on a tree. And then we had the students write messages around it. We took it to all 3 of the lunches. We have little ones like,
That's nice.
you are way more than enough. You can do anything. 30 seconds of outstanding courage can change your life.
And then no one ever made a difference by being like everyone else. So simple notes like these obviously shows that PT definitely has some hope in it. Like, for a fact, PT has always been a great place, but doing little things like this obviously show the better half of it rather than the negative side towards it.
We hope that people can see these messages and just it can change their entire perspective on their life. Just learn to appreciate all the good things.
I have to say, I walk at the high school all the time. Walk in these halls and I see these notes. I'm like, where are they coming from? And I've read a few. They're very nice. That's a really good idea.
Just little reminders for our students.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to the concept of pay it forward, because you never know what your kind words to anybody going through the day, what that pays off down the road. So it's you guys are very inspirational, and just to give the kids during the day Because high school, as we all have gone through, can be a very stressful time in your life. So I commend both of you for what you're doing.
You never know what people are going through. So
No, you
could just
don't.
give them one little message. to
That could be
change
the
their
difference.
entire outlook.
You're right. It could be the difference between a good day and a bad day. That may be the only
One
good thing.
simple thing.
Yep, that could be the only good word they hear all day.
Even if it's just something like "you're beautiful."
Yep.
Even 2 or 3 simple words.
Saying a kind word doesn't cost anything, like you already
No, it's
said.
completely free.
Nice.
As much as we can.
Can I ask where you guys are going to school?
I'm going to Penn State, I'll do that.
For?
Nursing.
I'm going to Carlow University for nursing.
Very nice. Going into the right fields. Good job.
We're just going to take a moment for all the winners to come over here for a press photo.
He's going to finish the rest of the stuff in the information, and I'll bounce back. Now, those who wish to stay can stay for the rest of the meeting. It'll be quite exciting. Those who choose to go, that's okay as well.
All right, I'll leave.
Under information, Ms.
Yep,
Kelly
thank you,
already
everybody.
covered my end of the year events, and our student union representative is not here. So if you want to,
All right.
okay. And we do have a budget presentation, but I know you want
Yeah,
to
I
get
wanna
back
bounce
to
back up there.
Mr. Leonard and Mr. Petrucci.
Yes, we have two reports tonight. One, I'll wait till IU number 7. Mr. Bill Leonard, if you have a report, you can tell it now
Oh, for the IU?
from the up the stage.
Okay, nothing to report at this time, Mr.
You're
President.
fabulous, and thank you very much.
But I want to thank you. You did attend the bullying seminar with our teachers. I really appreciate it because I think he was one of the only school board members.
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about that now? You can, sir.
Oh, I did. There's a lot going on. Yeah, that was really very informative. Kind of caught me unprepared here to give you
I just appreciate you attending.
Oh, well, and it was very informative. Brought some different students together, administrators, administration people together, and there's a lot of ideas put out there, and it was very informative. I would highly recommend anyone to attend it.
Well, thank you for representing the board.
I just hope I did well.
All right, we'll jump to Career Tech. Mr. Petrucci, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, we met on April 18th, and if you recall last meeting, I told you we was going to meet with the state trooper and Lieutenant, State Officer Lieutenant Praska. He came to our meeting. He went through both schools, Stanley Elementary on one side and us on the other, and he did some research. He says, you are really in an awkward spot here. He says that there's no access at all. He says that the cul-de-sac at the end used to be open, or Rona Road used to be open, go out into 119 is now closed off because the Turnpike put a little elbow in there. Now, he knows the Turnpike Commission. He's supposed to talk to them for us and then get back to us. It's only 20 feet we need, which is not too bad at all. And if we can divide the cost with Hempfield School District and put I'd like to put a power gate in there. They want to put a chain gate by the time you get down there, because it is a little distance down there, probably about a good quarter mile. So if we put a power gate, one for each principal have control of, they can go right back out onto 119. And these sound pretty promising, and I will let you know how that's developing next month. And tonight is graduation night. We're graduating 200 and, let me get the exact number here. I want to say 276. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, 276 students are graduating, and the ceremony is tonight at Westmoreland County Community College, and usually it's packed. It's very, very popular. He also told us I forgot to mention this, because we were concerned about the response time. If we do have a dilemma at either Stanley Elementary or at Career Tech, he says they have, I didn't realize this much, they have 12 to 14 patrol officers on duty all the time, that office that he works out of. And he says that response time, he thinks it'll be very small, very short time period. He says he thinks that it'll get there very quick. Okay, and the skills test, 41 kids are now going to Hershey at the end of this month, and those that qualify go to the States in July, which is in Louisville, Kentucky. I went through that part yet. We discussed the security system. I notified Dr. Harris about the security system. And did you get back to Brad, Mr. Elwood, about the difference in prices?
I have to talk to him still.
Yeah, please
I wanted to
do
make
that.
sure Mr. Gatiss can go down that area.
Okay, well, just tell him that, okay? 'Cause it was substantial.
It was different.
Yeah. The gas wells, we found out now is organized. Then the gas well, we put in 1-inch line. It services the horticulture, prep 2, and professional services. And next year's enrollment is 1,077 kids. In this order in popularity is automotive technology, number 1, health occupation, number 2, number 3 is cosmetology, number 4 is welding, and number 5 is power line. And there was a special award given out to Jeffrey D. Schmel Jr. He's Partner owner Schmel Automotive Group, Greensburg, Pennsylvania, has been partnered with Greensburg Central West Florida Career Technology Center Industry Education Alliance for 20 years. During the 2017-18 school year, a student intern was placed in each of the Schmel locations, including General Motors, Ford, Mazda, Kia, Acura, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz. Schmel actively promotes post-secondary and manufacturing training for career technology students, interns, and graduates. Extremely, he is number one as far as taking care of all of our students for future employment, and he's been that way for 20 years, and it's outstanding what he has really done. Now, I'm not pushing you, don't go to Schmel to buy your next automobile, but I'm going to tell you, he's been very, very, very cooperative, very cooperative. And our next meeting is May 16th. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci. We did have an executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters and negotiations. I'll turn it back over to Dr. Harris.
Thank you. And actually, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Lego for the budget presentation. And I'm going to have to actually move, and so does Phil, because of our seats.
Can you see?
She's quicker.
That's all right.
No, just back up a little bit. Work? Whatever's
Perfect.
easier for you guys to see.
Stuff.
What Ryan Seacrest would say.
What would Brian say?
American Idol. Sorry.
Okay. I've been doing this presentation for 15 years now, and every year it's basically the same presentation, and we go through 20-plus slides, and I say the same thing over and over again: salaries and benefits, salaries and benefits, salaries and benefits. So I'm going to spare everybody the agony tonight of going through 20-plus slides. I've condensed it down to a shortened version. I'll go through the presentation, highlight some things for y'all, and then any discussion you want to have or recommendations, feel free. Okay, so to get started, yeah, the major budget drivers this year are that I am recommending that we add $1 million to address security concerns. As we all know, security is a huge issue right now throughout the country, and even though we may not specifically know yet what we're going to do, I think it would behoove us to put money into the budget so that we're prepared once we come up with a comprehensive plan based on recommendations of our consultants. Again, the retirement rate continues to tick up, not as drastically as it has in past years, but on a budget our size, that little increase can mean a lot of dollars. Cyber and charter tuition continues to rise. The state just approved a change in the funding methodology will actually cost us more money for cyber tuition. It's a very controversial area. The charter schools and the cyber schools have a great lobby that prevents any real reform from taking place, and as opposed to getting relief, we're actually going to see increased costs. We also took the opportunity this year to eliminate some positions through attrition. It had a very positive effect on the budget. And we also saw, for the first time in my memory, a reduction in health care rates. So that also had a significant positive effect on the budget.
Quick question on that slide, Fred. Could you just elaborate just a tad on retirement costs continue to increase?
Well, again, that's our PSERS rate. It went from 32 and change this year. It's increased to 33.43% for next year. So on a,
It's one of those mandates.
it is absolutely a mandate. We have no control over it. We have no input into it. The retirement system comes out and says, here's what the rate is for next year, and you pay it. And it's projected to keep rising probably for the next 5 years at a slower rate than it was. But 10 years ago, I think the rate was 4%. So it's just been an astronomical increase. Okay, so tentatively, last year, our budget was, the revenues were $55.2 million, basically the same as the expenditures. This year, we're looking currently at 56.4 in both revenues and expenditures, an increase of almost $1.2 million in each area, or an increase of just over 2%, in line with inflation. Under our revenue, state revenue, 29 million, an increase of 31 million, 1.3, but that's a bit deceiving because the state hasn't yet released the homestead, farmstead numbers, so I have to consider that all as local revenue. So it's a shift from the state over to the local, and that's why you see the decrease in the state revenue column. Federal monies are very stagnant and no real impact on the budget, you know, very slight increase. So overall, a 2.14% increase in the revenue. The changes, again, as I just mentioned, the real estate has gone up because of the homestead monies not being included. The rate didn't increase because of that. It's just money was taken from state dollars and put into the local dollars. We have seen decent increases finally in the interest earnings. When I first started here, we were making about $750,000 a year in interest. The rates, when they bottomed out, we were then making about $20,000 a year. Now that the Fed has increased the rates a little bit, we're looking at almost a $150,000 increase for the coming year. The retirement reimbursement is up because the costs are up. So it's not a dollar for dollar trade. We lose 50 cents on the dollar basically. And again, federal funding is stagnant. It's stable, and it's really not significant. And you can see, and I can't read it very well, but basically, local revenue makes up about 55% of the budget. The state revenue is down to 44% of the budget and less than 1% in federal revenue. So that local number keeps creeping up because the state continues to basically underfund us. Yeah, we can do that for sure.
I think I remember the number being at 53-something% when I came on a few years ago. Now
it keeps creeping. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, under the expenditure side, instructional expenses have actually decreased because we've shifted some money around, which I'll explain in a moment. Those monies were shifted into the support, which has a significant increase, again, because of an accounting change. Non-instruction, which is our athletics, basically, a very small change there. And financing, that's our debt service. Again, that schedule is established. It fluctuates very little from year to year. So expenditures, again, rising from 55.2 to 56.4, or 2.12%. As I mentioned, I had to classify some expenditures in the budget to match the accounting record. I really had things budgeted in the wrong spot, and my staff were charging them to the right spot. So I made the adjustment. Again, it's dollar neutral, but it's just shifting them to what's really the more appropriate area in the budget. As I mentioned, healthcare had a decrease of 2%. I think that speaks very well to the job that our consortium has done in controlling rates. A 2% decrease is a very positive thing and virtually unheard of. And I also mentioned the elimination of positions through attrition, the increased cyber charter costs, and the increased PSERS cost. 58.8% of the budget is in the instructional area. That's a good thing. That's where our money should be spent. 32% On non-instructional support, that's basically our administration, our guidance, our libraries, nurses, those areas. Transportation, maintenance, those are all under there. Then we have the support services, the non-instructional services are, I can't even read my own thing here. They're 5%. Debt service is 5%, and non-instruction is 3.4%. Okay. As you can see,
No, we can't.
Can't.
this is a little bit hard, but this is all in your book. This is all under tab 2. You have this also in your book under tab 2.
Liar, no.
No, we don't.
Didn't see that.
It's, yeah. So regular programs, up 557,000. Again, that's the classroom expenditures. So that's where we should be spending our numbers. That's where we had some things budgeted for, but we weren't charging them there, so that went down because we shifted them over basically into 2,100 and 2,200 over under non-instructional. The only other major increase is under the custodial maintenance, an increase of 353,000. However, 280 of that is related to the security. So take that out, and there's a very modest increase in there as well. So again, a 2.2%, 2.12% overall increase. Not.
That's the proposed 1 mil for security?
That's the proposed 1 mil for security. Proposed, right? Okay. So, which brings us to the recommendation that I made based on the discussion that we've had concerning security. You know, we were able to pretty much balance the rest of the budget. So, recommending a 1 mil increase strictly for the security to go from 82.25 to 83.25.
That 1 mil would be in its own account, correct?
Yeah, it's accounted for. There's a separate new line item for it, yes. And you can see a very minimal impact on the average home, $26 basically. I'm estimating the homestead exemption to be about $129 again, but until we get that number from the state, I won't know with certainty. But it won't fluctuate much from that few dollars either way, maybe. And the fund balance, we should be at about $4.5 million. As we've done for the past several years, I would recommend we assign $2 million to cover unexpected maintenance or building needs and or PSERS increases, which leaves us basically $2.5 million for whatever the board desires to do if they want to do anything.
What percent is that, Mr. McAvoy?
In total, it's about 8%. So, yeah, about 8%. So,
Unallocated about 4, right?
yeah, it's about 4, correct. 4 and 4, basically. State recommends between 5 and 8, so we're a little bit under that, but a lot of districts are these days. So that's the presentation in a nutshell. I am happy to answer any questions, take any recommendations, concerns. Okay. Hearing none, I thank our one visitor who must find my presentation riveting because nobody else does apparently. So.
I was sitting on the edge of my seat.
I'm sure you were.
Oh, yeah.
Marty, as you were the head of the committee, you'd like to start a conversation about the proposed 1 mil increase? Or you can go ahead and make the recommendation or read the motion.
Well, I just think we had discussed that, and we could discuss it further here, that we don't really have a plan for what we need to do security-wise. We've done some things within the budget to secure as we can with the vestibules and locking people in and not allowing people to have access with cameras and some double doors. But I think Matt won't meet with a consultant until June timeframe
June 4th, June 5th.
And I
June
think
11th,
from
and
that,
June 12th.
with an expert giving us some assessment on each individual building and coming back to us, that's when it will be that time before we have any idea of the cost impact of what would be
That is
recommended.
correct.
So this is kind of proactive. I shared in the meeting that my order, and they're being demanded or deemed that they have to supply security in the Florida school districts, and the schools come back and say, well, how do you pay for it? And they say, we don't care, you got to figure it out. So this is us figuring out before we have to do it. So that would be the reason for proactively raising the mill for security and to keep our kids safe. So that's the 1 mill in a nutshell, I think. So if anybody else has comments, that's.
Any other board members fair to comment? You can comment now.
From the building committee standpoint, we definitely acknowledge that there's needs there. This may and may not cover, this may not even be enough. We don't, as for the record, we don't want to be spinning our wheels in the middle of next year deciding we don't have enough money to do anything. This is money that's going to be watched closely and it's going to be spent wisely, but it's definitely going to be probably not enough to do everything we need to do.
And let's just hope that there's other money available through other sources coming, from the state or federal. There's been talk of that, and this gives us I think, a really good start.
And keep in mind one thing, again, this is the proposed budget. We can always make changes to the final budget. We can add monies, we can add mills, we can take mills away, we can do, whatever the board. We're required to publish this preliminary, give a 30-day inspection period, and whatever transpires over the next 5 weeks, if it makes sense that we make changes, we can always do that.
For me, it's good to have a plan of action as far as the money set aside, so we'll be ready to go if recommendations come down to us. That's my opinion on the situation. It's a very serious matter, and we want to let the public know that we're taking it very seriously.
First component recognizes being missing from any plan we would facilitate is funding. We're looking at it, the committee's looking at it very much, and we know we're going to need the money.
Is there any other board members who thinking about discussing any other needs for millage increase other than for the security?
I just think, I'm sorry.
Good, Jim.
I just think, again, it's better to be proactive than crisis management. And the best we can do to be as proactive as possible rather than scrambling in a bad situation, put us in a prepared position. As a former Boy Scout, be prepared is a good motto.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yeah, I would, I'll take my responsibility for this. On the PlanCon revenue, I would like to also add 1 mil to reimburse all PlanCon revenue that has been designated for annual expenses. All future PlanCon revenue will be spent on one-time expenses only. And that's my fault. I should have jumped on this last year, because if you don't, PlanCon money would run out, or there's a new governor. Governor Corbett did. He stopped all PlanCon money for a 4-year period, and those school districts were relying on PlanCon money, created a big void. Put them in big red time, real big red. And so that's my mistake. I should have caught this last year, and I didn't. So now I'm trying to add 1 more mil. So if PlanCon money has ever stopped, or when it does expire, who's on the board then, and administration then, is not stuck with a big debt.
Any other discussions?
Brett, that impact then would be on average is what, 40,
I think it's
46 bucks? Is that
52.
52?
52, double to 26, 52, yes. Yep.
So what?
And that's per
Annually.
year.
Per year.
Per year, right.
So $4
$4 a month.
on average.
On average.
Are we asking for recommendations at this point, or what are we talking about?
Need a second.
Well, we haven't made any motion yet, so.
Already made a motion.
No, this is a pre-discussion before the motion is read.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, Mr. Stovall, when you feel comfortable enough, when everybody's had their say, you can read the motion as you see,
In front of me.
you see in front of you, and then you can, oh, sorry,
No,
there you go.
but we need to just make sure that nobody wants to comment. Recognition of visitors.
All right, thank you very much for noting that. Oh, you are only visitor, and nobody has signed up, so I give you a check. If not, we'll move on to the, okay. Thank you, Mr. Lego.
You're welcome.
Mr. Stobar.
So I move to tentatively adopt the preliminary budget for the Penn Trafford School District for the 2018-19 school year in the total amount of $56,418,807 for application in accordance with district policy and the school laws of Pennsylvania. The preliminary budget calls for a 1.0 mil increase in real estate taxes for a total of 83.25 mils. Rate for Allegheny County will be 15.68.
Second.
Second?
All right, second being called for. This will be a roll-
Question.
Okay, question? Is there a question?
No.
All right, question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of a 1 mil increase, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, now, I'd like to make a motion that we put 1 mil aside to reimburse all PlanCon revenue that has been designated for annual expenses, and all future PlanCon revenue will be spent on one-time expenses only.
All right, Mr. Petrucci is making a separate motion.
I second it.
There's a second? Dr. Costo?
I second it.
Question?
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the second mill to cover PlanCon reimbursement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
All right, Mr. Lego, we'd have to have a roll board for the second mill, please.
Mrs. Essing.
Nay, I would probably go half mil, but I don't want to go a whole mil at this time.
Mr. Chassid.
No.
Dr. Koshko.
Yes.
Mr. Bill Leonard.
No, I just need to understand more.
Mr. Dallas Leonard.
I will give it a nay, but at this point, for preliminary purposes, I'm not close to the concept. If it's developed a little more, I like the concept.
Matarazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Nemec.
No.
Mr. Petrucci.
Yes.
Mr. Stovar.
Yes.
4 yes, 5 no. Motion fails.
No. There was
Five against.
one.
It was 5-4.
5 noes.
Okay. I'd like my fellow board members to think about that. It could put us in the red big time.
Well, there was some comment during the stage as far as maybe there'd be support for another number, Mr. Petrucci, if you would like to make another attempt.
Yeah,
If not,
I'll go for a half mil. I just don't want to go all the way up to a mil.
That's better than no mill.
Well, make the motion again, I
Okay,
guess.
I'll make a motion and a half mil increase to reimburse all PlanCon revenue that has been designated for annual expenses. All future PlanCon revenue will be spent on one-time expenses only.
all right, Mr. Petrucci has now amended his original.
I'll second Mr. Petrucci's.
Question over here, though.
Sure, question, Mr. Stovar.
The way you read it, it says no PlanCon money can be used for,
Only one-time expenses.
but I think because of the amount we use, this isn't going to make it up, so he would still have to use some of that in the next couple of years to balance the budget.
Well, if we,
Half mil.
So you can't put that part in it, or else we're going to be upside down. He still needs to use that money for a couple of years till that millage catches up.
Right.
yeah, but also one more, I don't want
No, that's right, because it's 400.
any money spent in the future coming up for,
We can't do that until we continue putting away a half mil. We need to-
Can't do it till you get the full
okay,
millage.
well,
You
Bill
have to
says,
give Brett the flexibility to use it for a couple more years to make sure the budget's covered. and
Until we
then
catch up.
We start
okay,
building
but
that
also
money
any
to get away
future,
from that.
all future PlanCon money goes towards one-time expenses only.
that can't work either. He needs to use future payments still.
Catch up.
Brett, what is the amount we get in PlanCon?
I'm in,
I think this year we're scheduled to get somewhere north of $500,000.
All right.
We need 2 mills.
You're gonna need
So you would need, you need 2 mills to cover that.
a half mil, just half mil.
okay, we'll do it that way. All
How
right.
much of that do
So
you think
the
you need to
half mil
balance
you
the
can't
budget?
use.
The half mil you can't choose, is that correct?
You
You're saying,
can
Brent?
use the half mil, but it's not gonna solve the problem.
Where's the mill?
It'll start to solve it, but it won't solve the problem.
Right.
That's why I want to do, it really is going to take more than 1 mil,
And
2
1 mil
days.
won't even.
1 mill won't solve it
You
either.
need
No,
almost
but
2
it'll
mills.
start.
But he can start chipping away at it.
Yes.
You can't hog tie Brett's not
Can't,
using it.
right,
He
you
needs
can't
it.
tie his
But
hands.
the half mil, he can say.
You know, the half mil going into next year's budget, that half mil, whatever that generates, could be used, whatever,
For one-time
the
expense.
one-time expenses into a separate account.
It'll be a separate line item like we did with security. And then the board, at the end of next year, if they want to designate that money and move it over into the capital improvement fund, we would need a motion for that at that time.
Okay, that's fine. And also, just so we can understand now, all future revenue will be going, all future PlanCon revenue will be going towards one-time expenses only.
Can't
That's-
say that until you cover the
you
amount
cover
that's
the
already.
Yeah, that can't happen. for-
Okay, I
Mr.
see.
Stovall.
You need 2 mil to cover that.
Mr. Stovall,
I just want to be in the red, that's all. Okay,
Mr.
here I
Stovall.
see where you're coming from.
would you like to take a crack at amending that?
No.
We need to have that reread,
How do you word that,
Can I
Brett?
have a question first?
sure, Mrs.
Brett, of
Susan?
this 500 and some $1,000, how much of that are you going to need to balance this budget?
All of it.
All of it.
You think you need all of it? Okay, because, yeah, so you'd be up at 2 point something mils to make up for that.
Correct. That's what we're short. If we stop using the PlanCon money as revenue in the general fund, then we need to make up that $500 plus $1,000, yes.
Currently, you're using it, Brett, to cover the debt service, correct?
Correct. That's what we get it for.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
So it has to read, so he still has the flexibility to use it for the next couple of years, but this
Other
is
than
dedicated.
the half mil comes out into a separate line item. Correct, Brett?
Yes. I think that, okay, we can
We're
either
not
amend the
taking
motion-
away it, we're adding a half mil to cover that
Right.
future. Correct?
Correct. So
You'd be making a motion to raise the mill by a half to put toward the full reimbursement like PlanCon money in the future.
I think the simpler you make this, the
Right,
better off we
I think you
are.
leave the PlanCon out of it. I think you just say you're raising a half mil.
No, you should say
To
PlanCon.
cover.
Well, you want to make sure
You
that
say
future
PlanCon.
boards
Yeah,
understand what
why
this
we
is
did it.
for.
You have to say PlanCon revenue, Scott.
Well, then it would be,
Just trying
it's
to
somebody
advance.
else's motion, but the discussion point would be possibly to amend the motion to state that it's to soften the impact of the budget on the PlanCon money. You can't eliminate Brett's, we don't want to do this and chew him out later because he hasn't been able to pull the magic rabbit out of a hat like we asked him to do.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, I think what Nick's getting at is,
yeah.
eventually the PlanCon money will go away. This is to start
thank
putting
you.
some money aside
Thank
to make
you.
sure when that PlanCon money goes away, we
cover
actually
expense.
have money to cover the expenses. So this would be a start to do so.
Realistically, this will have, to do it that way, you need to put on a $500,000, say, for 4 years.
That's correct.
To totally cover, so it would take 4 years. You have to rely on, continue to
Understood,
add
but-
a $500,000.
But we're also trying to be mindful of the
Right,
taxpayers that we
I
represent.
understand, but I'm just trying to, the $500,000 isn't gonna catch up in
That's
the
correct.
future. It's only gonna cover a portion
But
of
it's a
it.
start from 0 to a half
That's
is
right.
better than zero.
It'll stop the red.
Less than half.
It'll
is what
free up a little bit of
Yes.
chunk of money.
Plus, I believe, my guess, Brett, is we have a roughly 12 years to that bond issue's paid off, and we definitely want to roll that back over again. We don't want that to lapse.
Thank you.
Is that about right? So at least it gets us pointed in the right direction.
Correct.
So how do we phrase that to,
We have a board member willing to take a crack at the revised motion.
Area, go for it.
all right?
Marty, me or you?
He's gaining his...
I gotta write it
Yeah,
down.
he's gaining his thoughts.
I wrote it down too, Mark.
You could try, and I'll write it down. I'll back up.
You may try again? I don't
And
care.
as Marty crafts his
Go on.
motion, just so everybody knows,
Just make sure reimburse.
just so everybody knows,
Read
like
that, Brett, see if that makes it.
Brett has stated in the past that this 1.5 is preliminary. That doesn't mean what the final budget will be voted on. You can't go
that make
the opposite way. You can't raise millage at the final, or the meeting in June that's higher than what we're saying now. So you can go down, but you can't go up.
Okay,
No.
all right.
You can go up or down.
Yeah, you can go put it down.
Well, my apologies then.
That used to be the thought that was out there that you couldn't, but it's not true.
As long as you're within the index.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. All right?
Is this from you, Brett?
No, it's from our solicitor.
But Brett's
oh,
reviewed
thank
it,
you.
and
Oh,
you're
you did.
comfortable with
All
it.
right.
Yes.
Motion to add a $500,000 as a separate line item as a safety net for loss of planned current revenue reimbursement.
All right, Mr. Trucy has made an amendment to his original proposal.
Second?
Do we have a second?
Second?
Sissing?
Question?
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci. Thank you, Board, for a good discussion. Sorry, Dr. Harris. Rest of the meeting?
Next week, under athletics and extracurricular, we're going to ask you to accept a resignation, approve volunteer coaches, amend a contract with Excella Health to provide additional athletic trainer. Under budget and finance, we're going to ask you to designate S&T Bank and/or its successor as treasurer of the Penn Trafford School District for the 2018-19 school year. Approve compensation rates for the 18-19 school year. Approve a quote for Acer Chromebooks for Penn and Trafford Middle Schools. We won't have anything under the next three categories. Under personnel and curriculum, we're going to ask you to approve the substitute teachers and support personnel for the month of May 2018. Employee personnel, approve leave requests, authorize the administration to issue reasonable insurance of employment notices to all eligible employees for the 2018-19 school year, approve the opening of extracurricular position, approve textbooks for the 2018-19 school year, approve intern assignment, approve field trip requests to the UCA National High School Cheerleading Championships, approve expulsion agreement. Under Policy, Public Relations, Legislative, Title II, accept and file the Information Committee meeting minutes of April 9, 2018, approve the list of graduates of the class of 2018, approve Chapter 339 K-12 Comprehensive School Counseling Program, final approval of revised board policy attachment and admin regulation, tentative approval of revised board policies and admin regulations, and rescind admin regulations. We won't have anything under taxes, insurance, census. And our PTA representative is not here.
All right, do I have a motion for adjournment? All right, meeting adjourned. See you all next week.